Hi and welcome, chart artist. Quite a couple of things I want to get through today. It seems that sentiment is leaning bearish at the moment, although we had the ETFs being approved and we were expecting that bullish momentum to the upside. Let's go through some news where I'll share some of the articles, where sentiment is lying. Are we still going higher? Are we still going lower? Let's analyze the price of Bitcoin here together quickly. Let's go through a couple of altcoins, look at Bitcoin dominance, the strength of ETH towards BTC. It's quite a jam-packed show. Let's get right into it. As always, please smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel for future notifications, and let's get serious. Right, the first thing, let's start going through some of the news. And let's just see where the sentiment is at the moment. The 50-day simple moving average serves as a valuable oscillator for understanding Bitcoin's daily price action. Bitcoin typically exhibits a movement in the range of 15 to 17%, 17% when it falls below this moving average. So as you can see over here, clearly indicated, as soon as you lose the 50-day EMA, you typically have around from a 15 to a 17% drop to the downside. Okay, again, yeah, 16%. And now we are still above this 50-day EMA, currently holding it as support. So for us to remain bullish, you really want to see us hold this 50-day EMA for momentum to the upside. And if we do lose it, we could come down as low as 35,554, according to this article. Okay, next up, a inverse chart. So where you basically go onto TradingView and you flip your chart around, just to say, you want to look at things from a different perspective. And here you can clearly see from Ash Crypto saying that perhaps we are forming a inverted head and shoulders here. You can see the green candles running down and the red candles running up. So basically the Bitcoin chart flipped around on the weekly time frame, where we've made a shoulder, we've made the head, and we are potentially now busy with a right shoulder. Okay, which will bring us down to that estimated $33,000 mark. Up next, Flash writes, dump into the halving, do it before the mega pump. So you can see social media starting to lean towards the bearish side, where you basically connected the high of the bull market to the pivot that we've made for a potential wave 3, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4 to the downside, then for a fifth wave to the upside to come and break the structure and continue the momentum to the upside. So quite bearish sentiment at the moment in the market. Next up, Tony the Bull writes, Bitcoin still holding above the monthly upper Bollinger Band, even on a weekly close and open basis. So for us to remain bullish, you want to see us hold this level over here. Closing below this level could spell a little bit of more downside for Bitcoin. Okay. Yoda writes, the January close will decide how the quarter one will end. All right now, the monthly close is not looking that great, so I think the plan is not so bad. Again, saying that we've potentially tapped the top, and we can still have one more week up to come and claim the liquidity for then a momentum down. Everyone calling for this $33,000 level where we need a healthy correction in the market. Neste, the golden is my religion, the fractal is my guide. So basically just comparing the different bull markets against each other and what's going to happen potentially now in 2024. When you look at 2016, you can see we reached the top and we had a 30% rejection. Okay, just rounding it up. 2019, we reached the top with a 0.618, which we'll get to now, also in the charts, where we've hit the 0.618 with a 30% correction. Will this time be different? We have just tapped the 618, and can we expect that 30% correction for 2024 before the bull cycle kicks in, considering that the estimated halving time for Bitcoin, I think, is around mid-April. Okay. Then BlackRock bought 11,500 Bitcoin in a matter of 2 days. So $500 million in Bitcoin were bought by BlackRock during the last 2 days. And here you can see that, the $500 million number sitting over here. So perhaps a little bit more bullish news is to say that, well, why would a BlackRock go and buy $500 million worth of Bitcoin, assuming that we are now going to make a deeper 30% correction to the downside? Okay, perhaps you should have, institution with this buying power and all these analysts and, with all these degrees and knowledge on how to trade the market, is this really a smart thing to do, to go and buy $500 million worth of Bitcoin when we are at the top? So perhaps some bullish news in the pipeline, but we will analyze both the bullish and the bearish case scenario on Bitcoin. Then X-Force Global, really like to follow these people. They also go through Elliott wave theory, and this is some of the things that I will be taking you through as well, where I'm not sure if it's too small, but basically we can still expect a little bit of a dip before we have a nice little recovery to the upside. Question is, are we going to claim the yearly high, or are we going to turn around with an ABC correction to the upside for then finally momentum to the downside? Okay. Lastly, let's look at some liquidity. What I've got over here, we'll get to the CVD right now, but when you look at liquidity, I'm here on the weekly for Bitcoin, and you can see not much liquidity for now towards the bottom. It seems that liquidity towards the top is aggressively building up where people want to now short the market. So you can see the bears has really stepped in now. Have they stepped in too soon? Only time will tell. Okay, so that wraps it up for the news. Let's dive into the price of Bitcoin and analyze this situation together. First thing we have to acknowledge is to say that the range that we started forming from the 4th of December up until where we are now, we kind of been inside of this range. We had a deviation above and soon break down below where we come to claim the lows again. And the rules about trade the range is you short the tops and you long the bottoms. Okay. Not always as easy as it seems, but to keep it simple is you want to short when you're at the top, the acceptance back below the level. So fine if you want a long year, expecting momentum to the upside, but as soon as you get acceptance back below the level, that is your short entry. Okay, targeting the bottom of the range once again. Okay, so for the moment, we are still inside the range. We have not lost bullish structure as yet. So although the market is turning extremely bearish at the moment, we have to acknowledge technicals are still telling us that we are still inside the range. We have not lost structure where we have confirmation of bearish continuation. So for now, we are still in bullish momentum, considering when you zoom out onto the 12-hour, for example, just take the brushes out the way, the momentum is still up. I mean, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher, currently ranging, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs. And for now, bullish momentum, well, the technicals are telling us bullish momentum still remains intact. We have not lost any critical levels where we've made a lower high and a lower low, and we are now going to start finding momentum to the downside. Okay, let's go back onto the 1 hour, analyze possible other scenarios over here is to say, just wait up for this to load up. Okay. The one scenario that I am watching is to say that, well, what if this is a start of impulses to the downside, where you now potentially have wave 1, 2, 3, and we are now busy with the 4th wave to the downside. Okay, and to complete your 5th wave perhaps down here. So definitely a scenario that I have on the cards is to say that, well, we do have strong resistance above. We have a point of control for a possible SFP to complete the 4th wave for then momentum to the downside. And a possible way to work out what can a 5th wave target be is that you, let me just fix this because everyone doesn't understand this. Let's just do this to show the waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to go and work out the 4th wave or the invalidation of a 4th wave for impulses to the downside, you want to take your fib, normal fib, from 2 to the bottom of 3, and what you do not want to see for momentum to continue to the downside is us tapping the 0.618, which is also the top of this range. Okay, as soon as we tap and close, or tap and close candles here by the 0.618, that could mean that we are going to find more bearish impulses to the downside and corrective structures to the upside. So perhaps this will be the structure where you then start forming ABCs to the upside for continuation to the downside. Okay, so for now we have a bearish count, is to say that, well, this could be a formation of a 4th wave where you don't want to see us tap the 0.618. At the 50% and 382 common 4th wave target, we do have confluence where the 0.382 is grabbing liquidity above these highs, and the point of control of this entire range is also in confluence more or less with the 50% fib level here. So you want to see a swing failure pattern for continuation to the downside to come and potentially claim this low, and also the point of control of the entire bull cycle that we had during 2022. That's why this is called a major point of control. Okay, so this is kind of the bearish scenario that I have in mind, also considering that we can drop from where we are right now. We don't have to necessarily go up because we did hit the 0.382, considered a 4th wave target where we could at any moment also just fall down here. to complete the fifth wave. Okay. To work out a target for fifth wave, what I can do is, let's just take some of the scribble out and clean up the chart a little bit. Okay. Target, you take your FIB extension. Two ways of working it out. So let's stick with this one, from the bottom of 1 to the top of 3 to wherever 4 is going to end. So if this is the end of 4, you just want to slap it on there, and you can see the 0.618 is also a fifth wave target in confluence with a major point of control that I have over here. If we had to come back up and we tap perhaps this point of control and the 50% FIB level, you can just drag it up, and you can see the beautiful confluence that we do have still with the 0.618 and the major point of control. If this is going to be an impulsive wave to the downside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this scenario plays out, then probability wise it looks like we could start making corrective structures to the upside, where we could potentially have an A, B, C coming to grab all that liquidity that I've just shown everyone. This liquidity on top is to say that, well, perhaps we have the move down, everyone getting excited, not taking profit, and then we come back with a corrective structure to come and eat up all that liquidity for then more impulsive structures to the downside. Okay. From a bullish perspective, that's the bearish one. So from a bullish perspective, let's just take the scribble out the way. Take the FIBs. Let's just see what this thing looks like. I will then look at this as a C wave to the downside, a 3-wave C wave. Okay. Where this is now the end of the C wave. Okay. And I think if I take a FIB extension just to measure from 1 to 2, okay, you can see that we did hit a common target for a C wave, the 1.618. So if this is the end of the corrective structure, and we are still going to come at some stage to claim this high before any massive correction, eating up all the early shortest liquidity over here, then what we can then do is to say that, well, perhaps we are now starting to form impulses to the upside, where this is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside, and any downwards momentum is still corrective. Okay, so let's just take this FIB out the way and paint the picture over here, is to say that, well, what if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, we have to keep both bullish and bearish scenarios on the table. But for now, I must, from a technical perspective, I am leaning a little bit more bearish, considering the selling volume that we have over here is superseding any bullish momentum at the moment. Okay, but nonetheless, we have to keep the scenario in mind where we find strength above the point of control, perhaps closing candles, we break through, we do not SFP, we close above for continuation to the upside. Where then also, when you take your FIB from the high, not the high, sorry, wave 2, from wave 2, and we do not tap, or we do tap the 618, then probabilities increase that we're going to find more momentum to the upside. So even if we do reject at the 618, we could perhaps find strength here at the point of control for momentum to the upside. Okay. What else? Let's see what else that I'm not missing. There's so many things that I can go through, but in order for you to keep on watching and keeping this interesting and short and to the point, let's just tackle the basics for now. I do have daily and weekly levels that I'm also keeping an eye for extra levels of confluence. We still have an untapped daily level here at around the $46,600 level. If we do find momentum to the upside, this could potentially be a nice little short for ABC correction to the downside. And we also have in confluence, if this is indeed a bearish scenario, to say that we are still going to form these impulses to the downside. Okay. We still have a weekly untapped level here together with the point of control, and also the 50 between the 50% and the 382 FIB level. So very strong resistance in this area. Definitely an area that I will keep in mind, is to say that we have to break through there successfully with closing candles, green volume coming in for continuation to the upside. Things at the moment look very bearish, especially from a technical perspective as well, when you see the resistance above. So from a macro perspective, the structure is still bullish. But at some point it needs to turn around, and this could potentially be that turnaround point where we have tapped the monthly point of control and the 0.618 from a macro perspective. When you take the high of the bull market to the low that we've made, we've tapped that level to perfection, and we're now starting to have this rejection to the downside. So the bulls are really going to have to step in here for us to come claim this high before we see a deeper correction, coming to eat up all this liquidity and the early shorters in this area. Okay. Cool. Jumping onto ETH. For now, ETH looks healthy. it's flipped this support into it's flipped this resistance into support. I always mix it up. And let's just go onto the daily and see where we are from a macro perspective. Let's just zoom in here. Just waiting for the chart to load up. There we go. Okay. As you can see here, we are kind of inside a parallel channel. So connecting the low to the high, you can see that this is my home line. This is the home line. Every time we get a bounce back, you're at the top, you come back down, you buy, you fill up your bags. Okay, we didn't quite make it to the top over here, but we came back down, you fill up your bags, and now we're off to the races where we tap to the top to perfection again. Will we see a deeper correction to perhaps come and bounce on this trend line, where I've highlighted it before, where you basically from the bull market, you connect these pivots. We have got this beautiful red trend line where we now successfully broke out. We have already done a retest. Can we find now that bullish momentum to the upside without coming back to the low of the channel? If Bitcoin does have a deeper correction, I do see ETH pulling back a little bit more, perhaps not as deep as Bitcoin, because when you look at the strength of Ethereum over Bitcoin, you can see that we have broken trend, and Ethereum is currently showing tremendous strength over Bitcoin if it can continue the momentum to the upside. Okay, we found support by this low, we broke trend, we've closed a daily 3-day candle outside of this trend. So, I would expect us for Ethereum to have strength over Bitcoin. Hence, I've also switched some of my Bitcoin bags into Ethereum, because my sense is even if Bitcoin pulls back now, Ethereum will still remain stronger towards over Bitcoin than if Bitcoin had to dump over here by 30%. Perhaps Ethereum will have a 15 or 20% correction. So still keeping my portfolio nice and healthy. Okay. Going back onto Ethereum, that's basically the scenario. I think if Bitcoin has an aggressive pullback, perhaps the bottom of this channel and a retest of this trend line for continuation to the upside. Okay, ideally, I would like to see, and you don't always get what you like, let's just take all the scribble out the way. Okay, ideally, I would like to see this 50% line inside the channel hold as support. We also have a little support box here. Perhaps we will find support there for continuation to the upside. So when I zoom in onto the 1 hour, just wait for it to load up. Today, okay, cool. So above these highs, we need to find support. So perhaps we broke through. We haven't retested this level yet, and we are going to find momentum perhaps down in the support area for continuation and break out of this channel. And you want to see closing candles above for consolidation above for continuation to the upside. Okay, as soon as you SFP and you come and you get acceptance back inside the channel, it could mean that we are going back down to lower levels. Okay, basically short update on ETH. Also looking at CRV, part of the ETH ecosystem. It is showing some strength going on to the daily. Let's just see where we are. It just kind of still feels to me that CRV is inside of accumulation zone. This is where you load up your spot bags. So although Bitcoin might be looking bearish and some of the altcoins are losing momentum like Solana and Rune, that's already run a lot, perhaps it's time for them to cool off a little bit. Bitcoin dominance can still be in some of the alts' favor, especially even if Bitcoin has a nice little correction here to the downside and we don't have a sharp fall, we have a nice little slow consolidation to the downside, slow bleed for Bitcoin. Some of the altcoins can still do magnificent things. Okay, so looking at the daily here on CRV, for example, we are inside accumulation zone here, and any pullback I will be adding aggressively to my spot bags, anticipating where, for example, Solana is over here already. Okay, so I am anticipating a little breakout to the upside to come and claim these highs and these highs, which so far is still very far away. So from where we are right now to these highs, you're looking at 136%, almost 200%, 191%. And where Solana is at the moment, you're looking at 560, let's say 500% to the upside. So from a risk to reward perspective, definitely a trade that I'm interested in taking and adding to my spot bags at the moment. Okay, then DOT also still looking strong, currently holding this high, the support high, and we have found strength above. You want to see us not lose this level inside a bullish pennant over here where we've broken out, we've retested, and now you want to see us hold this level for continuation to the upside, flipping this, climbing the stairs, and you take your brush. We now need to start climbing the stairs where you break through, you find support, you break through, you find support, you break through, you find support. Okay, and you have your trend line running up, your home line tracking the momentum to the upside. Okay, GRT, same thing inside this big triangle that I've got over here. So let's go on to the 8 hour. Wait for it to load up again. Okay, there we go. Okay, just tracking this momentum here to the upside inside this triangle. Question is, are we going to break up? Are we going to break up or down? Only time will tell. And definitely set your alarms. No financial advice. GRT is definitely an interesting one that I'm still keeping an eye on. Lastly, what I want to show and go through is Bitcoin dominance. At the moment, it is looking very bullish for the altcoins. And I personally have remembered many times where there is topping signals for Bitcoin, where social media is very bearish and expecting this massive pullback for Bitcoin, where you see a rampage in some of the altcoins just exploding left, right, and center. So definitely keeping an eye here on Bitcoin dominance. Here you can see on the daily time frame, I've been tracking the Bitcoin dominance from an Elliott wave perspective. And so here from the 8th of September 2022, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside, also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of the fifth wave, and now we have finally made a lower high. Okay, which could be that A, B, C correction to the downside. And some of the levels that I am expecting for the C wave to come down here is to say that it might not be a straight line to the downside. We have to always keep in mind, you know, nothing falls or goes up in a straight line, but perhaps it will be these little waves to the downside, where the first target I see here at the 50% flip level, which is 47%, we could go down as low as the 43%. And I don't know if we are going to come here and invalidate and bounce on this low over here, but only time will tell. 3 targets that I do have in mind for the C wave. Okay, invalidation of the scenario is obviously when we come back and we break back into trend to find strength to the upside. I mean, anything is possible, but for now this Elliott wave scenario is playing out to perfection. Okay, that's it from my side today. A little bit longer than expected. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Please smash up the like, support my channel, and subscribe for future notifications. If you'd love to trade with me, please, I've got some affiliate links down in the description for Bybit, BingX, and Mexi. Sign up with my affiliate links, show support towards the channel, helps me to keep on going and give you guys this analysis on a daily basis. Thanks for watching, and cheers for now.